Good evening, and thank you for being here. You chose to invest in yourself on a Sunday evening, and that decision by itself, it separates you from most people. And here is my promise to you tonight. By the end of this session, you will have one goal with an engine that powers it and a road to follow in 2026. And you will know exactly what you do tomorrow morning, Monday morning. So tonight is about one goal, one strategy, and one execution plan. That's the rule for tonight. Not 5 goals or 4 goals, one goal. And not wishes or desires, goals. A while back when I was in medical school, I read a book called An Enemy Called Average by John Mason. And I look back to that book and it defined average in a very interesting way. And if I could summarize everything I took away from that book, it will be that average is not a talent problem. When I lead an average life, an average year, an average decade, it's not a talent problem. It's a math problem. And that's why I really love what the Bible says. Teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Teach us to number our days. So what does this mean? 2026 is already 45 days old. That is 12% of the year gone. If this was a phone battery, 12% already used. And most of us perhaps have downloaded the app called 2026, but we haven't even fully registered the account. When you think of 2026, your brain thinks 365 days. No. 2026 today is 320 days left. 46 weeks. Now, subtract your sleep, 7 to 8 hours every day. Subtract your work hours, 10 hours every day. What's left? 4 to 5 hours that are yours. 4 to 5 hours you can say you control. And you can decide what to do with this. So 320 days, you have max 5 hours approximately. 320 multiplied by 5. How many hours do you have remaining this year? 1,600 hours. So this strategy is not about 2026. This is a strategy about 1,600 hours. Write down that number, 1,600 hours. That is 1,600 hours going forward. Let's look backward. If I had a complete video recording of the last 1,600 hours, what would I see? Would I see you living with strategy, or would I see you living in reaction? Because, reaction feels busy. It feels productive. You're answering messages, you're putting out fires, you're responding to other people's emergencies. But reaction produces nothing you can build on, nothing that you can repeat. A lot of effort that does not compound into anything. And today we speak about strategy because strategy is very different. It's intentional. Strategy decides what's going to be important on Monday morning before Monday morning arrives. And it protects what's important. It delineates what's important. It prioritizes what's important. It fixes what's important. The truth is that We don't choose to live in motion. We just start responding to life as it comes to us. And strategy, living from strategy, requires that you make a starting point when you choose that from today, this is going to be about strategy going forward. And that's why I would like to give you today what I believe is the engine that can elevate your 2026. You don't lack talent. You're not lazy. If you are lazy, you wouldn't be here on a Sunday evening, having paid your money to sit through a session like this. So that's not what we are dealing with. You are hardworking, no question about it. The problem is that you are unstructured. And here is what we forget about unstructured ambition. Unstructured ambition decays. It decays every single time. And it's not because you lack desire or you're not talented. It's because of something we call entropy. That is physics. It is the natural movement of everything toward disorder. Your house gets messy without your effort. Automatically, your car gets messy. The compound gets messy. Your body gets weak without exercise. Your goals collapse without structure. That is the law of nature. And that is why we need strategy. Because the solution is not just motivation. You can have motivation for motion, where you continue doing a lot that does not compound. The solution is architecture, structure, because structure is what holds the dream together. Structure is what holds the vision together. I don't know about you, but I look back at my own life and I remember years when I would start January with fire. And by February, I'm still going strong. By March, something slips. And by April, I'm back where I started. And by May, I'm telling myself, next year will be my year. And that is entropy. Everything moves towards disorder by itself. But with strategy, that's how we can fix it tonight. I sent out a form. If you are here, you filled a form and I reviewed the responses, and some of you shared that your growth feels invisible even when you are intentional and you're taking action, and that can be frustrating. You are working, you're pushing, but you cannot see results. Some of you said that you are afraid of reaching the sunset years, looking back with regret and wondering what happened to all the dreams that you have right now. Some of you said that you feel stuck, but you can't tell why. You are doing everything you can, but month after month, you feel as though you are in the same spot. And I could relate to all of you because I've experienced all of this in different seasons in my life. That's why I don't do motivational speaking. If I do not give you something that helps me as I share it with you and also helps you in a practical way, then I'm wasting my time, I'm wasting your time. And so today, my desire is to give you a system, and this is the system. These are what I call the 4 forces of necessity. It's going to be the anchor for your strategy in 2026. But before we go into duty, obsession, deadlines, and identity, please go to the chat box, and there is no shame here. This is honesty. On a scale of 1 to 10, would you say you have a strategy for 2026 already before we implement all of this? Just go to the chat box. We are sharing. Would you say you have a strategy for 2026, or you want to build a strategy on a scale of 1 to 10. If you have a complete strategy, it's a 10. If you're beginning to build it, it's a 1 or 2. If it's incomplete, it's going to rank somewhere in between. And the important thing is to really do the math and recognize where things are right now. I see a couple of responses, 3, 3, 2, 2, 5. Let's see how far we can go from those numbers to getting a strategy that actually makes 2026 a different kind of year. The 4 forces of necessity, DODI. I want you to look back and think about an important goal that you abandoned. Maybe it was a fitness goal, a business idea, a savings target, something you were excited about, but somehow you quietly let it go. Today you will realize the goal did not die because you are lazy. It died because it lacked necessity. It lacked a force that will keep you on track. And tonight, I will give you the 4 forces that if you stack them together, they make it nearly impossible to quit. Every abandoned goal lacked several of the forces of necessity. And every goal that you've ever finished and actualized, it had at least 2 of the forces of necessity. So let's stack them tonight. The first one is duty. Self-centered goals collapse under pressure. Duty-based goals survive. Think about this. When your boss gives you a deadline, if you're employed, you meet it. If you're a parent, when your child needs something, you figure it out. When a friend is in trouble, you show up. You do not wait until you feel like it. You just do it. But when it comes to your own dreams, your own goals, somehow there is always a reason to postpone. Somehow you are waiting for the right time, the right feeling, the right moment. Why? Because when the goal is only about you, it is very easy to negotiate yourself out of it. And the truth is that we are terrible at leading ourselves. I am a sucker for myself. I buy my own lies. I buy my own biases. I can talk myself out of anything. I can talk myself into anything. And the truth is that I have been a participant in all of my mistakes. I might have excuses, but I've been there, leading the charge at the head of the army, saying, this is what we are doing. But when the goal is about someone you love, when it's about someone who sacrificed for you, when the goal is about a child who is watching you, you do not negotiate. You execute. Just think back to your closet. How many wedding outfits have you bought for other people's weddings? And yet, it takes a lot for you to go out of the way to buy a full outfit for yourself. We always do more for others than we do for ourselves. And that is a force. And tonight, we can learn to redirect it. And so here is what I would recommend. Your biggest goal for 2026, stop making it about just yourself. Connect it to someone you care about. Let it be a noble act. Not just someone who inspires you. I want you to answer this question. I want you to think about this question. If you quit on your most important goal for 2026, who pays the price? Who pays the price? Who misses out on how much better you could have been able to show if you accomplished the goal? How many doors you could have opened for their future if you showed, if you did it, if you persisted? Is it a parent who gave up everything so that you could be here, living the life you live, doing what you do? Is it a child in your life who is learning right now by watching what you do, not just what you say? Is it a specific community of people that is waiting for you to step into the role only you can feel? No one else can do that thing except you. And if you don't do it, they are indirectly or directly going to pay the price. Your biggest goal for 2026, if you are doing it just for yourself, you will quit when it gets hard. You will give yourself a way out. But if you're doing it for someone, you do not get to quit without really struggling with yourself. When you attach the goal to that person, something shifts. You are no longer just reading a book. You are honoring your mother's sacrifices to put you through school. You're no longer just saving money. You are building a future for your children or celebrating your father's effort. You're no longer just showing up at the gym. You're becoming the example your child will remember long after you are gone. Duty. It turns your goal, your most important goal for 2026, into a promise. So that it's no longer just a preference, it is a promise. It's a promise that you carry with such dignity and honor and responsibility. I wonder whether you have in your mind, it may not necessarily be this is the person that it's going to be, but is there anyone, look at your core goal for 2026. Is there any person that comes to your mind that you can attach this to? In fact, I would like you to go to the chat box. You may not necessarily give us the name. If you want to give us the name, that's okay. But it needs to have a face so that this is not theoretical. If your most important goal is making a certain significant career shift or career step, or making a significant progress in your business, whatever the central goal is, who are we attaching this to? I would like you to go to the chat box. This is so important. Go to the chat box. If you don't feel comfortable saying who it is, just say, I have someone in mind, but I want you to go beyond that. That's why we are here tonight. What is the face that you would attach? That's how we harness this power, the power of this necessity pillar. Do you have someone in mind? Let me check. Rachel, my niece, Marcy, grandchildren. I love it. Yes. Gladys, my teenage son. My goodness. If anybody is a sponge in your life, anyone in that range. Rose, my kids. Chege, my team, my company. I love it. If you can add a reason behind it, my children, because my son, because my daughter, because my niece, because, what is the cost? What is the cost? What is the emotional reason that really makes it inescapable? So that if you don't do it, you are cheating on them, on the opportunity, on the value that you could add into their life. Add a specific reason. Dr. Melo, I see I have family and friends who still believe in me no matter what. Absolutely. Rose, my kids, because they believe in me so much. They believe in you, Rose. I love that, but I want you to add that they will remember. They will remember. They will remember when you said at the beginning of the year, I will go to the gym by July. They that had been long forgotten, they will remember. And unfortunately, they will also copy. I play guitar. I did not choose to play the guitar. I did not go looking for guitar. I look back and realize guitar became part of my life because of my father. It became part of my life because of my father. I come from church, I sit down, start playing guitar. And then I remembered this is exactly what he used to do. Comes from church, starts playing guitar as he's waiting for lunch. Except now, when I come, before I moved, when I was living alone in Oklahoma City, I come, start playing guitar, and then I realized, oh, there's nobody making lunch, so I need to go make the lunch. But you see the impact that that had. So this is so powerful, to give them better opportunities than I had. To give them better opportunities than you had. That's from Nicole. But Nicole, I want you to also tap the pain. What pain are you helping them avoid? What pain did you face that you would not want them to face? So that you are harnessing the full emotional value. Yes, there's the positive side, but there's also the pain, the weight, the cost that you suffered. Helen, because I want them to know how to deal with their emotional issues. Absolutely. Absolutely. These are video recorders. People talk about, oh, the modern video recorders. No, the best video recorder in the world is a child. Because they record everything. They record 360. They record you and everyone around you. They record the emotional temperature. They record it so indelibly that it will always be available to be read. Sometimes when we use cameras now, in future, there will be technology that, right now we can't use floppy disks because technology has changed. But they record it. I recorded the things that happened in my childhood in a way that I will always carry them. And I'm sure it's the same with you. That's the first force. And this is one of the most important. Duty. Duty. I want to stop doing things because my boss wants them, and harness them so that they are driven by a force that is much higher than this temporary responsibility that I carry because of work. The second force of necessity is obsession. And I want you to view it with from a positive perspective. The word obsession has a bad rap, but that's not what I'm talking about here. When you get obsessed, you will be misunderstood. The question is, what are you willing to be misunderstood for? What are you willing to be misunderstood for? The first time people hear the word obsessed, they think, that is not for me. The truth is, in some ways, you are already obsessed. You might not recognize it. If you went back to your phone and looked at screen time and quantified how much time you've spent on social media the first 45 days of 2026, it might speak of a level of commitment. You are showing up there the first day in the morning, the last day in the evening, several times in the course of the day. Your most powerful muscle, most efficient muscle is the unlock muscle. Whether it's the thumb or how you put in the pattern, that is the muscle that you exercise. That muscle will never atrophy. That muscle is strong. It's ready and very consistent. So that your attention is essentially always obsessed. And one of the ways we usually see the power of obsession is when you have an important event coming up. Maybe you have a wedding or you have some kind of celebration coming up. Nothing else matters during that time. For those of us who like sports, when you can name every player on your favorite team, but you cannot name 3 impactful books in your field currently, that is obsession in one direction and not in the other direction. You are always obsessed about something. The question is whether obsession is building your future or consuming your present, because it's always doing either. Where your attention is going It may not be the negative obsession type, but where your attention is going, it's either building your future or consuming your present. And the truth is, at least from direct personal experience, people will tell you not to be obsessed, be balanced, keep things in moderation. And for most things in your life, that's true. But for the thing that matters most, the thing where you will model for your children and influence the people around you and have the most impact, the thing that can change your life and the lives of the people around you, moderation sometimes is underselling yourself, because what you call moderation is doing just enough. The painful truth is that most people fail not because they tried too hard at one thing. They fail because they were casually interested in too many things and deeply committed to nothing, where the table is full, but there is really none of these pillars or these pieces that is receiving all of me or all of you. And this is where the hedgehog concept comes in. It becomes the filter, the area where you are going to be quote unquote obsessed. In other words, really invest yourself with all of yourself in 2026. It needs to meet the 3 criteria. Number 1, can it pay you? Is the world ready to pay for this, for what you are offering? If it cannot sustain you, it cannot pay you, it's not a mission, it's a hobby. And hobbies do not need extensive strategy. Hobbies do not need the power of necessity. You just need to show up. Number 2, can you become excellent at it? Can you become really, really, really good at it? Because the world does not pay for average. It pays average for average, but it pays high dollar. It rewards really well for something that you go deep into. Number 3, are you genuinely passionate about? Are you passionate about it? Are you passionate about solving the problems that lie behind it? Helping the people that are served when this thing is done well, when it's implemented, when this business is expanded, this career is advanced. Are you passionate? Are you doing it because you're passionate, or because it looks good? Or because somebody else is doing it and therefore, or because, oh, you landed in this career now, you feel like you're stuck here? That is the 3, when you have the 3 ingredients together, that defines an area that is going to be really, really, really worth you going deep in, doing more than just enough, giving more of yourself. You just have 1,600 hours. If the area you identify is part of your work, that's even better, because then that means you are recouping up to 8 additional hours from the day for you to invest in that area. If your goal sits at that intersection, then we can say that you have a mission that is worth executing. Because the truth is, excellence is very lonely. I want to invest my best effort in this area that will truly enrich my life and expand my life and amplify the value that I'm created here to offer. Because the moment you get serious, the moment you get really, really serious, it's going to cost you. Friends will start wondering why you are not showing up at the gatherings, at the chama. Your family starts asking why you are still working at 7 p.m. People can even call you proud, you're selfish, you're unrealistic, you're self-centered. But if this is really, really, really important, the people behind it are valuable, you care about those problems, and now you have duty and obsession together, just by those 2 forces of necessity, you are ready to power through any frustration, any discouragement, any low seasons when you don't feel like showing up. Because obsession requires that you are willing to be temporarily misunderstood for something that is permanently important. But you have to make sure it's permanently important. It's not you beginning to raise quails with obsession when the quail trend is just something that is a passing fad. It's not you selling GNLD products when it's just a passing fad. Is this truly permanently important for you? You fall in love with where you are going as long as that is where you are going. I want you to look at your goal and look at the three elements. Your central goal. Can it pay you? Is the world willing to pay for it? Number two, do you have the capacity to become excellent at it? Number three, are you truly passionate about it? I want you to go to the chat box and say how many of those elements your goal meets. Is it 3/3? Is it 2/3? Is it 1/3? Because your responsibility is to set goals with the highest leverage. Is it 3/3? The world is ready to pay for it right now. In marketing, they say if you want to look like a genius marketer, market the things people already want to buy. When you market something that the world is not looking for, it doesn't matter how big a budget you have, how good your creative team is. You can have the best slides, the best logo. You're marketing something the world does not want. Let me ask one or two of you who shared a 2/3. I just want to hear, just make sure I have a clarity about what is the third ingredient that is probably not showing up. I will ask Helen, Justina, Rachel, Arthur, any of you. Can you please unmute and just give me clarity? Which of the two ingredients are on board? Which one is missing? Any of you, please unmute. Justina, I see you've unmuted. Please go ahead. I will probably proceed if we don't have anyone. Right, fantastic. We'll just proceed with the next one. The third force of necessity is deadlines. The third force of necessity is deadlines. I have been working with this quotation for a long time, and it's one of the most uncomfortable quotes that I have in my collection. Your calendar is your character in visible form. Your calendar is your character in visible form. Because your calendar cannot be a powerful tool without deadlines. Without a deadline, without deadlines, desires evaporate. Without deadlines, your goals become those things that you will get to eventually, and eventually never comes. They say tomorrow never comes. That's because eventually never comes. A goal without a deadline is a mere wish. It's a daydream. Most of us today are daydreaming with open eyes, thinking magically. We have desires, we have talent, but we have not given ourselves hard deadlines. You see, the interesting thing is that every deadline you have ever killed yourself to meet was given by someone else. It was about someone else's dream. There might be exceptions, but the majority of deadlines you've ever pushed yourself to meet, where you almost transnighted, you slept at 2 a.m. That report that you clicked 3 seconds before it was time, it was someone else's dream. It was leveled on you by someone else. Your boss gives you a deadline, you meet it. Your client gives you a deadline, you meet it. Somebody else's priority, you find a way to do it. But your own dream, you keep pushing it next month, next quarter, next year, sometimes next decade. You know why? Because there are no consequences. When you miss your own deadlines, nothing happens. Nobody calls you, nobody fires you. You just quietly move the goalpost and pretend nothing happened. You are both the employer and the employee in your own life. And sometimes, maybe your neighbor, sometimes your neighbor is a terrible employer. Terrible employer. Letting the employee get away with everything over and over. And that's why we are here, to change that. This is going to be the third force that solidifies your strategy for 2026. And here is my strongest suggestion of everything that I will have suggested today. You need a deadline every 2 weeks. For the remaining part of the year, you need 24 deadlines. That becomes a very easy milestone where every 2 weeks you sit down and make sure that the things that you committed to do the preceding 2 weeks are done. And this is how we move from annual resolutions that fade by February. We move beyond the vague quarterly goals down to bi-weekly commitments. Bi-weekly commitments with real stakes. This is my example. Whenever I have been doing very important work, I attach a financial penalty to it. There is a particular project I am doing right now that I have already put aside $700 because that is the penalty, the cumulative penalty for the times that I missed since the beginning of December. So that each day I miss, I put aside a money, I charge myself a penalty for missing, attaching a financial implication to it. I have to give this money away. Here's my suggestion to you. You may not need to put a big figure on it, but if you decide on that important goal, if you decide what the actions are going to be, the most impactful action needs to have a consequence to it. It could be 100 shillings every single time you don't do it. And that means in 30 days, if you don't do it, that can actually accumulate 3,000 Kenyan shillings. Because you need stakes, you need consequences that actually get you to move. Because you might look at, oh, if I say it 100 every single day I miss, that's going to be a lot of money. You are losing a day and another day and another day. When I set a deadline and I miss it, it costs me. I do not make a very big allotment to it, but there is a specific tangible and I have to be accountable to it. I am the employer. I have to hold the employee accountable. That gives the deadline teeth. I don't know what mechanism will work for you, but there has to be a hard deadline, series of hard deadlines, and the deadline have to have teeth. They have to be able to bite. When it's a deadline from your boss, it has teeth. The boss will not let you off the hook. Now let's find another boss equivalent that is going to have teeth. A mechanism that makes it cost you something when you miss the commitment. Something that matters. I want to see, is this something you can adopt? The first part is, are you willing to give yourself deadlines? We will have an opportunity to break down the goal into the sub-elements, but this is the strategy. The goal and its sub-elements, those are the details. The strategy is overall. How do I make sure I stay on track? Number one is plugging into the forces that will make sure that I am actually moving in that direction. The first is duty. Second is obsession. In other words, that wholesome commitment that gives you the power to do more than just enough. And then, of course, number three, deadlines, where you have clear, specific, hard deadlines, and the deadlines have teeth, they have consequences. When something matters, it appears on your calendar. When it's a fantasy, it simply stays in your mind. And let's do a mental experiment before you go to the chat box. Just think about the goal that you wrote down. Think about the goal you wrote down and visually, just visualize, mentally run through your calendar, even just for a month. Just look back. What proportion of the time in the last 1 month does that goal actually occupy? Because if it doesn't appear on the calendar, if it doesn't, because either of these two things is lying. Either you are lying or the goal is lying. One of us is lying. And I used to be a big liar. I had the goal here and I feel it. I'm like, I am doing this, but my calendar is like, I am hungry. Do you see all this open space? And the time keeps passing. Because if I had two microphones and I ask you to speak about your priorities and I ask your calendar to speak about your priorities and you're not saying the same thing, one of you is lying. If you ask me about my priorities and you ask my calendar and we don't say the same thing, one of us is lying. And one of us is lying, most likely it would be me. And I wouldn't be lying in terms of lying. I would be deluding myself. I will be in delusion, believing because I feel it in my body and my mind, it should also, why is the calendar not copying it? Because I feel it. How will you hold yourself accountable for your deadlines? Let's go to the chat box. How will you hold yourself accountable for your deadlines? This is the strategy summit. We can always work on the details, but the most important thing is what is the strategy that makes sure that you will show up. What is the strategy? Please continue sharing that part so that I can proceed with the final force, the fourth force. I would put a penalty for every 2 weeks, non-movement. Fantastic. Gladys, thank you. Consequences. That ingredient by itself changes everything. When I was studying for what we call the United States medical licensing exam, I had a penalty. And I was out of the country that time. I had a penalty that was in pounds. So I knew if I lose that 50 pounds, I'm gonna have to find a way to eat the rest of the week. And so I had to show up to save money. Except I saved money, but I also made progress. Because I was going to give that money away to one of my classmates, and we agreed I will give you money. And he became so enthusiastic. At 5:30 p.m., he would come to that room and knock at the door and open. Oh, he's like, oh, you are here. That's 50 pounds gone just like that. And it became kind of a game because if I did not show up, I was going to give him 50 pounds. If I did that 10 days, that is 500 pounds. That's more than my rent at the place where I was staying. Hard deadlines. A deadline every 2 weeks, and the deadline needs to have teeth. The fourth force of necessity. This is how we generate the necessity to stay on track, even when we don't feel like it. The fourth force is identity. The fourth force is identity. This changes everything. If you layer this, if you stack this on top of the other three, it changes everything. Behavior modification is the easiest thing we run to. I will wake up earlier. I will go to the gym more frequently. But behavior modification fails because identity has remained untouched. When we forget identity, we set ourselves up for failure. Let's say at the beginning of the year, you want to be physically fit and very active. You can download every productivity app in the market. You can buy the nicest planners. You can hire the best coach, the best in the world, and set 50 alarms on your phone to wake you up in the morning, and you still fail. Why? Because if deep down you see yourself as someone who does not finish things, someone who does not follow through, there's no system in the world that will override that story. If your identity says, I'm inconsistent, then every plan you make is a violation of the identity. Every plan you make becomes a decoration on top of a cracked foundation. You paint the house, you paint the front doors, but if the foundation is cracked, it's not going to hold. Because if you think of a mobile phone device, identity is the operating system. Everything else is an app. The goals, the desires, the dreams. Identity is the operating system. You can install the best apps in the world on this mobile phone, but if the operating system is broken, all the apps will crash, and they'll crash every time you try to open them. At the beginning of 2015, I had a coaching session that changed my life. My coach sat me down and had me do a mental experiment, essentially. There is someone in your life right now who looks at you and thinks or even knows that you could do better than you are doing. And the paradoxical part is that it's not always someone doing better than you. Sometimes it's even someone who is not doing as much as you are doing, but they can see what you cannot see. They can see the gap between who you are being and who you could be. They're watching you. They have an opinion about you. But the person whose opinion matters the most is you. The opinion you have about yourself, that is the pointer, the easiest way to get to the core of your identity, the aspects that control your life the most. Because the question is, are you the kind of person who respects yourself because you have clear goals and you are pursuing them? Or are you losing your own self-respect because you set goals and never followed through? You start out, but you never complete. And the more times you repeat this, the stronger the identity that repetition is painting becomes. And therefore, becomes a vicious cycle such that you want to go this direction, but you always go this direction. The question is, are you building guilt because you keep promising yourself things and breaking those promises to yourself? Forget about other people. The resolutions you picked at the beginning of this year, are they building your growth or strengthening your guilt? Are they building your future or stealing this day, this week, this month? And so at the beginning of 2015, this is how that coaching session changed my life. He told me, stop setting goals. In fact, that was one year when I let go of more than 90% of the goals I had. And I had to identify what is my hedgehog. He told me, stop setting goals. Let's make 3 declarations. Make 3 declarations. There's a difference between saying, I want to save money, and saying, I am a wealth builder. The first is a wish, it's a desire. The second is a statement about who you are, who I am. There's a difference between I want to be fit and I am disciplined with my body. The first is something I want, just a desire. It would be nice for me to get here. But the second is about identity. I am disciplined with my body. There's a world of difference between I want to start a business and I am a builder. I want to start a business is someday, eventually. But I am a builder is about right now. I am a builder. The way I'm operating today in this moment, it's either I'm building or I am wishing. Declarations are about who you are. And this is what harnesses this force of necessity, identity, who you are. Because the truth is, who you are always wins over what you want. Who you are always wins over what you want, what you wish for, what you are excited about. And that is the power of identity. It requires that you see yourself not just as you are, not just as you are or you have been, but as you could be. And then start closing that gap. So that this year, when you layer these 4 together, duty, obsession, that emotional power and investment, when you layer deadlines that are hard and they have teeth, they have consequences, on top of deciding who you are, going beyond the goal to a declaration. If your goal is about career, I am a creative manager or an effective marketer, whatever it is, making it a declaration about who you are. You have these 4 forces of necessity. 2026 has to be a different kind of year. So I'm going to ask you to make one declaration. The question you ask yourself is, for this goal, who must I become? Who must I become? Can you go to the chat box and just share? Who must I become? In other words, the identity will determine how you show up, but you have to select the identity. Who must I become? Who must I become? Please go to the chat box. This is so important. I would like to see you pick an identity. Who must I become? I'm giving you time because this is so important. This is extremely, extremely important. Who must you become? If we don't fix this, we can go round and round in circles, because who I am will always trump what I want. It doesn't matter what I want. If it's not originating and aligned with who I am, at some point it has to go. I'll give up on it. Go to the chat box and share. Go to the chat box and share. Rose, I am a diligent mentor of my team and a wealth builder. Rachel, I'm a tour planner and go to therapist. Mercy, I'm a business builder and a people leader. I love the declarations. So that when you wake up Monday morning and the agenda for the day was already set, before you decide whether to delay it to later in the day, just verbalize your identity and see what happens. I'm a builder. Because in that moment, once you say I'm a builder and you are wondering whether you should procrastinate, then you need to ask yourself, am I a builder or a procrastinator? Then you act based on the identity declaration that you are embracing in that moment. I'm a physician, scientist, leader, and wealth builder. I love it, Helen. I must become the best counselor. Gladys, I am an author, psychologist, counselor. And we have Chege, I'm a creative director building brand identities. So Chege, I would like you to get a qualifier, and this is for almost everyone. Make sure that you actually have a qualifier you care about. A qualifier that it's a emotionally charged word that attaches to the declaration. I gave myself 3 years to speak spontaneously without preparing any speeches. That ended in 2024. I gave myself 5 years of being a vulnerable speaker, vulnerable coach, vulnerable physician. That was a mistake. I should never have done that, because it would have been so much easier to just show up, every single time. Many times I come to present, I have slides, but I don't use them. So I'm like, these slides, what am I hiding behind the slides? But when we have a structured session like this, I think it's important to use that. So be careful, the identity you pick, the identity you pick. Marvis, I've seen your share. I am a father, a mentor, a solution provider. I want you to have qualifiers. I want you to have qualifiers. Is it a stern father or an available father or an empathetic father that is qualified? Am I, what are you doing, father? Am I an understanding mentor? Am I a committed mentor? Each of those declarations needs to have a qualifier that matters to you. That's how you commit, you connect with your heart. And so here you are. You have the power stack, 4 forces of necessity. This will change 2026 all by itself, even if I didn't give you anything else. This changes everything. And it's been a long time since I coached on this particular, this pillar. It's one of those pillars I believe in so much that this changes everything. If you lay a duty, if you wake up tomorrow morning and you say, I will succeed because someone is counting on me, I will persist through the difficulty because someone is counting on me, and people are counting on you. You just have to make it conscious. And in addition to that, you make sure you are centering on something that has permanent importance in your life, something that can pay you. You have the capacity to develop excellent skill, and you care about the problems involved in that area. And you layer that with hard deadlines that have real consequences. Especially, I would recommend financial consequences. If you say you'll wake up at 5 every morning, you need to have somebody who receives 100 shillings every day you don't wake up. After 5 days of not waking up, that will be the end. They will never see your money again. It will change everything, because 20 years from today, you will regret every single morning you did not wake up. Every morning you did not wake up on time, on the time that you committed to. You are also developing a reputation with yourself that you will say something, but you will not do it. And finally, making a declaration. I am the person who does this. You put this together. That's it. I can teach you everything else as logistics, but this will change everything. Duty, obsession, deadlines. This is so important. 14 deadlines, a deadline every 2 weeks. So that means the committee meets every 2 weeks. And the committee here is the employer and the employee, where the employer comes in with the deadlines because the employee is coming in with excuses. The employer needs to come in with deadlines. If the employer doesn't come in with deadlines, the employer will be sweet-talked by the employee. You are talking about an employee that knows the employer inside out. Before the employer says anything, the employee already knows what she's going to say or what he is going to say. That is the power stack. The question is, which of these forces do you see being active, directly active in the goals that you set? I asked you to identify someone that this matters to. Number two, to identify whether you meet all those three ingredients. I'd hoped to hear from some of you to see which ingredient is missing. Number three, the willingness to set 14 deadlines, every 24 deadlines, a deadline every 2 weeks based on where we are, and attach consequences and clarify a declarative statement that says the identity that you will embrace. Please go to the chat box and can you tell me how many, just give a number, how many do you have? Gladys, ladies and gentlemen, Gladys is willing to receive the money for anyone who doesn't show up. Gladys is Madam Consistency now. From today, she's trying to become Madam Consequences too. Right? How many of those do you have? Because if we set goals and those goals are anchored on only one power of one force of necessity, you don't have enough power stack. You don't have enough power stack to pull through. The goal is to find a way to get you to 4/4. If I have you on 4/4, I will not talk to you again. I'll just wait for 31st December because I know you will be there and you will have done it. If you have 4/4, I don't need to talk to you. I'll just wait for you at the very end. If you have 1/4, I need to take you back and begin the presentation from the beginning. If you have 2/3, we have room. We need to figure out which are the ones that are lacking and how do we activate or install them or introduce them. What do we need to do? Fantastic. I know that this has been a lot. I would like you to take a breather for like a minute or so. Please stretch. And we can move to the second part. I just want to make sure that people are still plugged in and you're on. I see Newton. How are you doing there? Are you holding on?
Yes, I am.
Okay, that's great. Mavis, Rachel. If you have any question, anyone, please just go to chat box and let me know. Gladys, today we have two Gladys, and they're both Gladys M. Yes, Helen, Justina, I see you there. If anyone has any questions, can you go to the chat box? Tell me if you're ready. If you're ready, we can proceed. I like to see at least a couple of readies. Rose is ready, Rachel is ready. If you're ready to go to the next part, Marcy, I see you ready. If I get two more, we will get going. All right, we got our numbers. This first part is the engine. Now we move on to talk about the road. The Dodi is the why. That is the force of necessity that keeps you moving. But an engine without a road will just make noise and burn fuel, and it will not go anywhere. We'll now talk about the M chain, or the 6M framework. This is what gives you your energy, the power you generate through necessity, a channel. Before we go into the M chain, it's very important to bear that distinction in mind. And the distinction I'm talking about is that distinction between motion and movement. Because if you do not make a distinction between those two, this whole chain may not make sense. We have already addressed the mission. Your most important goal gives you the mission. Your most important goal gives you the mission. That mission must come with the engine, which is the 4 forces of necessity. If you have a clear goal, clear, central, powerful goal, then you are ready to get on the road, on the M chain. Most people are in motion. Most people are in motion. They are running hard, working hard, busy every single day, but they are on a treadmill. They are sweating, they're exhausting themselves, but they are not going anywhere. When you're on a treadmill, you feel like you're walking. You actually walk miles on a treadmill. The treadmill creates sweat, but there's no arrival. That is motion. Movement is very different. Movement has a destination, it has a direction. Every step when you are moving, if you are moving, every step progresses towards something specific. So this M chain is what will help you turn motion into movement. You have been busy 2025, 2024, 2023, but now it's time for us to create a chain on which your actions stack and compound and build on each other. There are 6 links, as you can see, the mission, movement, measurement, motivation, momentum, and eventually mastery. And this, what makes this powerful is that it is connected. So therefore, it's very easy for you to figure out if you're getting stuck, where are you stuck? Each link produces the next one. And if it breaks anywhere, everything downstream stalls, but it also allows you to be able to figure out where you can diagnose where you're getting stuck. At the end of this segment, you are going to build a chain. You will take your goal and you will apply this chain to it. So I need you to pay attention because you have an assignment at the end. You will apply it at the end, because if we don't do that, we've just entertained ourselves. Mission defines movement, because mission is the starting point. It is what you are up to. What is the thing? Now, your mission needs to be stateable in one sentence. If it needs a paragraph, You do not know your mission yet. So the goal we identified, the goal that I asked you to narrow down to, the goal can give you many ingredients. That goal can give you activities. The goal can give you a vision, which means the end point. The goal can be to build a house. So the completed build house in picture form is the vision. But the mission can be build the foundation this year. So the mission needs to be something you can say in one sentence so that it becomes a controlling idea. That's the power of the mission. So that the goal gives you the mission that is so clear, so simple. You can say it in the morning when you start your day, you have a controlling idea. And that controlling idea defines what movement looks like. If you tell me you're building a foundation, now I know what I will see to know that you are moving, because I can see you stacking bricks. The mission defines what movement needs to look like, what movement will build the mission. And you need to identify 3 non-negotiable movements that relate to the mission. What are the movements going to be? If you are going to be an author, if that is the goal, what are the 3 movements? The 3 things that actually move the needle with regards to the mission. If you don't do those and you do everything else, if you're going to start a business and you spend the next 3 months researching the best website designer and logo designer and brand colors, but you don't actually speak to customers, you are wasting time. You are doing the things that are essentially noise and not the things that move the needle. So that is mission to movement. Mission dictates what movement needs to look like. Movement proves the mission. Movement proves the mission. Movement proves the mission, but then movement necessitates, movement requires measurement. And when it comes to measurement, this is where we get caught. You need no more than one central number. If you're going to be an author, how many pages a day are you going to write? If you're going to build a house, how many bricks are you laying? If you're building a business, how many clients will you speak to every single day? There will be additional numbers, but there has to be one central number that you can put on the board and everybody sees it and they know whether the movement you're making is accumulating something. One metric that tells you if you're actually moving or you're just feeling like you're moving. It may be revenue, it may be weight, it may be pages written, it may be clients served. Whatever it is, it must be specific for your mission. One core number, and maybe with additional numbers. And here is why this is important. Feelings will lie to you. Your feelings will lie to you. Your feelings will tell you it's not working, even on the very week or month when finally your efforts are about to pay, when you're about to break through. But the number does not lie. The number tells you the truth. How many repetitions have you had? When your feelings want to discourage you, the number will keep you on track. Because you have done 10 repetitions, you still have 6 days to the next deadline. The number keeps you on track. Mission dictates movement. Movement proves mission, but movement necessitates measurement. And then measurement creates motivation. Measurement creates motivation for you. And here is where most people get sidetracked. Most people think motivation comes first, and that is backwards. In the M chain, motivation is link number 4. Because motivation is not the spark that starts the fire. Motivation is the heat that builds after the fire has caught. When you move, And when you measure those reps as you move and you begin to see them adding up, that is what creates motivation. Results create motivation. Motivation does not precede results, it follows results. And therefore, this is why it's very dangerous to wait to feel motivated. You move, you measure, and motivation will find you. It will find you already moving, it will find you measuring, and those results you measure will build your motivation. Then motivation builds momentum. When motivation sustains the movement results gives you what to measure, the results create motivation, motivation feeds back to movement. If that's sustained, then eventually momentum shows up. You stop pushing and you start flowing because it becomes easier. At the beginning, it's very heavy because you are coming from stagnation. It takes massive effort to move a few inches initially, whatever the goal is, whatever the area is. The initial effort is very heavy. But as you keep on moving, measuring, and motivation starts accumulating, it becomes easier. And this is the reason why you need a strategy in 2026. You can have so much movement and so much measurement and so many results, but if you do not sustain it with structure, you do not either attain momentum, and even if you attain momentum, you cannot sustain it. That's the power of structure. So every single time you think momentum, think measurement, motivation, structure. Measurement, motivation, structure. Measurement, motivation, structure. Because once there is structure in place, a daily rhythm, if you have a daily predictable rhythm, a weekly rhythm, pre-decided order, so that you're not waking up every morning negotiating with yourself, wondering whether you should go all in or not. Predetermined order. That order creates the structure, and structure creates freedom. Freedom and structure with motivation and measurement, they sustain momentum. And over the long haul, momentum leads to mastery. The challenge we run into is trying to create momentum in more than one domain. Because what is the goal of attaining momentum? You want to attain momentum so that you can sustain it and it leads you to mastery. But sustained momentum cannot happen in multiple areas. You want sustained momentum in a specific domain over time, because that's what produces results that become mastery. Mastery is a decades-long, years-long endeavor. It's not a few months. If it's a few months, you're just developing proficiency. Mastery is always, always domain-specific. The best golfer in the world is not also the best violinist. The best journalist is not also the best footballer. That's why when it comes to mission, you have to make sure it meets those three. Can you be paid for it? Can you become excellent at it? In other words, if you harness the power of necessity and follow the M chain, can it lead you to mastery? And then number three, do you care about it? Because you are going to be in there for years. Do you care about it? Do you have enough passion to ignite a fire that will last through decades? If for the rest of your life, this is the only thing you do, can you stay there for the next 20, 30 years without moving elsewhere? Do you care enough about the people you serve, the problems you solve in there? Do you have enough natural inclination that you can become excellent through repetition? Because otherwise, if you do not have the natural inclination to become excellent, you will be spending years compensating for a weakness when you should move to another area where you have the natural ability to become excellent in that area. And then, of course, can the world pay you? Mission, movement, measurement, motivation, momentum, mastery. Let's look at your last year, the last 5 years. If you could point out either 1 or 2 M's you think probably tripped you or slowed you, there's no shame here. Which of these do you think might be the reason why you didn't make as much progress as you would have wanted? Is it lack of clarity or duty or obsession or deadlines with teeth to bite or aligned identity? Or was it because the chain broke somewhere? The mission was not clear, therefore there was no consistent movement. The chain was clear, there was consistent movement, but you are not measuring, you are not tracking anything. So you went by your feelings, and sometimes you stopped because you felt like it's not working. Sometimes you stopped when you were about to have a breakthrough because you are measuring your feelings, not a number. Or motivation did not show up. And when motivation doesn't show up, it's because you don't have enough results. You don't have enough results because you don't have enough repetitions, because you don't have enough movement. And when motivation shows up and you had measurement and you had movement, you did not have a sustainable structure. Therefore, you did not stay long enough to develop momentum. And because you did not develop momentum, of course, mastery will not show up. So which of these M's was your Achilles heel? Gladys, measurement to keep you motivated. Lack of clarity and procrastination. Justina, thank you for sharing openly. Measurement and motivation. Mission not clear because of other commitments. Rachel, measurement and motivation. Arthur, momentum because I didn't have a structure. Absolutely. This is the reason, the only reason to share the framework is so that the framework makes things plain for me and you. That way we can actually diagnose where is the breaking point, because we won't know how to fix unless we diagnose. Mission defines momentum, defines movement. Movement requires measurement. Measurement creates motivation. Motivation builds momentum. Momentum leads to mastery. That is the causal logic. That is how they are connected. And therefore, if I know what point you break, if you break at lack of clarity of mission, then I know there is not going to be movement. And if there's going to be motion, which means repetitive action that are scattered, that don't compound on each other, but there's not going to be directed movement that has a destination. If I know that your chain is broken at measurement, then I know you won't reach motivation. So you'll wake up one morning, you're like, this thing is not working. I need something else. Is anybody starting a quail business that I can join? And you drift, not because you don't have talent or because you did not have the time or the energy. It's because the chain has broken. Once it's clear to you how many of the forces of necessity you have on board, which is the engine, and you have the road, and you know that the road leads to mastery, but the chain can break anywhere, you need fuel. You have fixed fuel we call time. If I was hiring someone to run your life for the next 6 months, based on how the last 6 months have gone with regards to your time, if I was hiring a time manager for your life, and I audited the last 6 months to decide, would you be the most qualified people to manage your time, or would we need to hire someone else to help us in that area? This is an assignment for you to audit. I said last week here, but I'd wanted it to be much longer than that. But start with last week. Audit last week. Just sit down. The easiest way is to look through your messages. Look through your messages, especially social media and texts. Look at pictures on your phone. That usually leaves evidence that kind of jogs your mind about what happened. Look at your emails. Those things will remind you. And then look at where the time went. The goal is to remove everything that is wasteful. Remove or at least minimize. Social media will be one of them in there. For your neighbor, not you. For you, social media is not an issue. For your neighbor is wasting time on social media. You are disciplined. You only go to Facebook when you have a specific reason, specific goal. You get in there, you see it, and you're done. You go to WhatsApp, you're like, I need to text 5 people and follow up. You get in, you text them, you close it, and you're done. When you get in bed at 9 p.m., you're like, I'm going to be asleep in 15 minutes. And yet your neighbors are staying for another hour until eventually they don't sleep. They collapse. The phone is lying on their ear next to the pillow. Sometimes they forgot, they can't even charge it because the phone fell away. The phone fell one way and the person fell the opposite direction. It's your neighbor. And that's why I'm telling you this, because you need to know how your neighbor's life usually goes. Track. Just track. In other words, look at the last week and then apply the same thing in the next 1 week. Just track every day where your time goes. The number 2 is energy. There is a lot I can say. Those who have been in my programs, you know, I will say a million things about energy. But the one thing that I want you to implement is fix your sleep window. What time will you sleep? You need an alarm for going to bed, an alarm for waking up. Fix it. Number 2, if you are not exercising, if you're not taking your body to intentional movement, beyond walking, you walk with your hands hung on your side like this, giving your hands an opportunity to go up beyond this and go up beyond this, and to move a bit faster than just exercise simply. Because your discipline, your consistency, your power, your freedom begins in your body. You can say, oh, I'm mentally powerful. If your body can't even obey you, it's probably not true. And then finally, attention. This is where the money is. I would recommend a minimum of 2 deep work sessions. That means you have 2 appointments that nobody interferes with. Think of yourself as a surgeon or a pilot. When the surgeon starts the surgery, nothing else interferes with him or her. When the pilot starts the flight, even if their child wants to talk to them during those 90 minutes, don't lock them out to create disruption because of this, but you protect, you protect this time. Intentionally protect this time. If you say you have a plan and you cannot protect it, it's not a plan. It's a desire, it's a wish, it's a hope, it's a fantasy. The obstacles you will face in each of these areas are emotional. The time you waste in distraction, you don't get distracted because you need to. In terms of logistics, you get distracted because of something emotional. Distraction is subconsciously redirecting, subconsciously soothing, especially when we use something like social media. We are essentially soothing. It's an emotional escape. Energy, it's emotional barriers that lead us to a state of low energy. The same thing to attention. The quality of your attention. When you are emotionally aligned, you can be present. Everything else becomes logistics. So now you have the 4 forces of necessity. That's why this is a strategy summit. You have the forces of necessity, which is the engine. You have the road, which starts with mission and ends with mastery. And if you break any of them, that road cannot be traveled. You cannot travel towards mastery. And now you have the elements of the plan. Your time is fixed. Your time is fixed. Your energy must first of all be protected by adequate sleep. You recharge and generate more energy by moving, by being physically active. And then, of course, protecting your attention, because if you have the time and you have the energy, your attention is scattered, everything falls apart. It doesn't matter how much time you have. After you have the time, then let's see how much energy you have. You have energy, okay. The real test is, do you have... Some people in other programs will say, are you man enough or woman enough to sit down and focus and concentrate? That is what completes the loop in terms of the strategy. That's why this is a personal strategy summit. You complete the strategy with these 3 ingredients. And then after that, we can now go into the next 1,600 hours with 24 deadlines. We are no longer daydreaming. We are using these discretionary hours to actually move you. Remembering that your calendar says the truth. Your calendar is your character in visible form. Your calendar tells me what matters to you. The one piece that you will be missing comes at the very end, but that piece is for logistics. At this point, you have the engine, you have the road, you have the protocol. If you have the engine, you have the road, and the protocol fails, you don't have the time. Or if you have the time, you don't have energy, you're too tired. Or you have time, energy, your attention is on the ground, nothing works. Then remember, you don't have 2026. In fact, write this quote down. You don't have 24 hours a day. You only have the hours of the day you use. You don't have 24 hours a day, you only have the hours of the day you use. You don't have 10 and a half months remaining in 2026. You only have the months you will use. You don't have 45 weeks remaining. You only have the weeks you will use. 1,600 hours. In the next 7 days, if you spend 14 hours on social media, that is 1,600 minus 14. We are 20 minutes to time. This is your opportunity to do an exercise for 5 minutes. Take your goal, the central goal that we spoke about, and let's apply the 6M to it. Let's apply the M chain to it. I want you to define a mission as a special assignment within the execution of your goal. What is the special assignment? It can be for 3 months, 6 months, you decide. But what is the special assignment? There's a reason why the word mission is used in military terms. It is a mission to a certain country to go fight a war. You are going out to fight mediocrity, fight distractions for a specific duration of time. So make it a very simple, clear, 1-sentence statement. That becomes the mission. If you want to make it for the whole of 2026, fantastic. What is the mission? It needs to have the energy of, I am going to get this done. You're hiring yourself, you're recruiting yourself. Number 2, what will you measure? What will be the tangible evidence of the repetitions you have in that area? What are the non-negotiable movements? What will you measure? So beyond seeing your results when it comes to motivation, I want you to link it back to duty, to the person, to the emotional cost or emotional benefit that whoever you identified would connect with. That is the two-prong motivation. So it's the benefit or cost, but also the number. In other words, as long as you see you make progress in terms of that number. I want you to define momentum as what will your life look like in that area in 5 years? So that's fixed. That is where you are going. You're becoming excited about the future. Momentum will show up, but you have an anchor where it will come and hang. You have a hook waiting for it. Most important here is mission and movement and measurement. Start the beginning of the road. Once the beginning of the road is clear, everything else falls in place. The one piece that you will need, in addition to everything we've covered, is a framework called DCR, Decide, Commit, and Resolve. I prioritized giving you the 4 forces of necessity and the M chain because they work together in such a powerful way that if you intentionally combine them, it makes everything else flow. If all you do is just implement the 4 forces plus the M chain and the protocol to protect your time, energy, and attention, track your time backwards 1 week, forwards 1 week for a beginning, protect your sleep time and exercise, and do deep work sessions. If all you do is just those 3 pieces together, 2026 is already set to be different because you have a complete strategy. Everything else from here is execution. Decide, commit, resolve is about execution. I would like to invite you to come back in about 3 or 4 weeks from today for the second session. But I want you to come back after you have already implemented a significant portion of what you have already picked, and the video from this session will be available. So I want to go back to this exercise and see, have you been able to go to the chat box and just give us your 1 sentence mission. Your mission in 1 sentence. Your mission in 1 sentence. You can type your mission statement, and then at the end you say WIP, which is work in progress. So it's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect. Just go and share what you have and say work in progress. Don't get caught waiting until it's ready. I am watching and waiting. I am watching and waiting, looking on the chat. This is the single most important area of clarity for you, because sometimes we get really deep into the executional clarity, but this is foundational clarity. We are finding the controlling idea for your year. Could I have, I only have, how many do you have so far? 1, 2, 3. This is the test of the pudding. Mercy, I'm building a dash revenue, a dash million revenue. I love that already. Marketing and communications business in 2026 through systems, strategy, and established leadership. Woo! Yep. Let's dance. Come on. Masi amepata kile atafanya. Yeah, I love that. I just love it so much. Wow, Helen, counselor with a different work in progress. Work in progress, yeah, with a difference. Oh, thank you, Mercy, for sharing that. I love that. It's a big, bold vision. I love it. Wow, yes, that's what we are going for. Arthur publish a scientific paper, movement. I see that. Oh, this is beautiful, Arthur. This is beautiful. I like this. I would just want to see if I can, if you can find the, at the level of mission. I like that this is a very specific mission, but I wonder whether this meets the 3 prongs. And of those 3 prongs, the 2 most important prongs of those 3 is it's paid for and become excellent at it. So I like the breakdown. Just I would want you to just look at that. Rose, mentoring a team of 12 fresh graduates every 90 days to thrive in the business model. The question would from me would be, is this a business you're doing or is it a volunteering? Because remember those 3 prongs. The world needs to pay for it. The world needs to pay for it. But 2, you need to be able to become excellent at it. Number 3, you care. You care about it. Let's see. Or business, I love it. Is this a business you are already in? Because if you are already in this business, you belong in the daily reset. That would be the easiest way for you to get momentum. I would Rose, speak. Make sure you speak with Gladys. That will be the daily reset. Is where we build daily momentum. Already in the business. Okay. Yes. Yes. You. The daily reset is calling you, because that's where you will find the fire. You'll find the fire. You'll find other pieces that we are not covering here today. I'm waiting to see who else. It is okay for you to be unclear about this because this is one of the most important parts. The strategy, remember, that's why it's the first thing that I asked you to do at the beginning. Because the strategy without clarity of mission, it takes you all over the place. Now, if I can use Mercy's example, now I will get Mercy to automate her day so that she doesn't have to think about anything else. And anytime she sits down to think, it's about the business. Because now we have a controlling idea. What is the controlling idea? A business in this specific area that generates this much. What is the number we are measuring? The number is already in the mission. The number is in the mission. So we know what are the movements. So this has to involve talking to clients or servicing clients, delighting clients. The movements are defined by themselves. We are measuring, what are we measuring? The motivation, so that the motivation, whether Mercy feels like it or not, even if it's November and we haven't hit half of the revenue, we are not waiting for feelings to tell us what we are doing. We measure the sometimes, please write this down. Sometimes the motivation you need is discouragement. You measure what you are getting, you get discouraged, and the discouragement makes you move. So that discouragement doesn't make you stop. Discouragement makes you more committed, which is why you have to make sure this is a permanent area of importance for you. Because we always think of motivation as, oh, I'm going to feel this warm thing. No, sometimes the frustration, you're like, I have to, that is motivation. But that motivation doesn't come because sometimes the results look so beautiful, it makes you excited, you want to do it. But also, you measure and there is nothing in there and you say, I'm not sleeping for the next 1 hour. I'm going to sit down and do 1 hour of emailing all the clients that I can reach out, or cold outreach. Or motivation is both positive, motivation is also from the opposite side. Sometimes that fire gets you to move even faster than the positive fire. Justina says, mission creating visibility of coaching and counseling consultancy. I presume, Justina, that's a business you already have. If you already have, there are several elements that I would love to discuss with each of you, but it takes a lot of time. This is why you need to join the daily reset. This session is 2,000 by itself. The daily reset is so much cheaper than that, and you have access to these morning sessions every weekday. Become part of a community, and some of this language we are using will become so familiar. The daily reset, Gladys, consistency, consequences. Muhunyo will give you the information. If you look at the chat box, she will share the details. I'm going to see whether anybody has any questions. I know that we've covered a lot. The video will be available. Any questions from anyone? Arthur, how are things going there? Nicole, Rose, Mavis. Everyone, please take down Gladys' number. If I could offer you anything that is low cost but extremely powerful, it's the daily reset. You'll pay a very low fee per month, but the bigger fee is actually showing up, waking up every day and showing up. That is the true cost.